On a quiet morning in a small American town, a young mailman named Henry was sorting through the usual stack of letters at the post office when he noticed one peculiar envelope. It had no return address, only a faintly written destination. For the one who waits behind the brown gate. Henry frowned, thinking it might be another prank or a misplaced note. But something about the delicate handwriting caught his attention. Against his usual routine, he decided to deliver it himself. That small decision on an ordinary Tuesday would change everything, not only for him but for a creature who had been waiting for months in silence. If you believe small acts of kindness can still change lives and that humanity can be found in the most unexpected places, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories of compassion reach more hearts. The road to the address was lonely, lined with trees shedding their autumn leaves. When Henry reached the destination, he found a worn-out wooden gate, brown but weathered from years of rain. Behind it, he saw a dog, thin, quiet, and staring right back at him. The animal didn't bark or move, it just watched him with eyes so deep and human-like that Henry froze for a moment. There was something haunting about its patience, as if it had been expecting him. He walked closer, slipped the letter through the gap in the gate, and turned to leave. But something tugged at his heart. The dog didn't run after the letter. It simply nudged it gently, then rested its head on the ground. Henry couldn't shake the image that night. While sitting in his small apartment, he kept seeing those eyes. The next morning, he decided to stop by again. The gate looked the same, the house beyond it still abandoned, the dog was still there. This time, Henry brought a sandwich from his lunch bag and placed it near the gate. The dog didn't move until he stepped back, then slowly walked forward and ate. For the first time, its tail gave a faint wag. Henry smiled without realizing it. He began visiting every day after work, each time bringing food and water. Days turned into weeks, and the quiet bond between the mailman and the lonely dog deepened. The dog never crossed the gate, never barked, never showed aggression. It seemed like it was waiting for something or someone. Henry started asking around the neighborhood. An old woman told him that the house once belonged to a couple who moved away after a car accident took their son's life. The dog had been their son's companion when the family left. It refused to go. It stayed behind, sitting by the gate, waiting every day for the boy who would never return. Henry felt a deep ache in his chest. He began to understand why the letter had that strange address. For the one who waits behind the brown gate. Someone must have written it for this forgotten soul. One evening, driven by curiosity and compassion, Henry carefully opened the envelope. Inside, there was only one line, written in the same soft handwriting. "We're sorry, buddy, we couldn't take you with us, but you'll always be in our hearts." The realization broke him. It wasn't a prank. It was a goodbye that the dog never got to understand. From that day, Henry's visits became more than routine. They became purpose. He started spending longer hours near the gate, talking softly, repairing the fence, and even planting flowers around the post. The dog, whom he now called Buddy, began trusting him enough to rest close to the gate. When he arrived, neighbors who had once passed indifferently started noticing the mailman and the dog together. Some would stop to leave treats or fresh water. What began as one man's silent act of care slowly turned into a ripple of kindness that touched everyone in the small town. Winter arrived, and with it, the snow. Henry worried about Buddy surviving the cold nights. He built a small shelter beside the gate and lined it with warm blankets. One morning he arrived to find Buddy missing. His heart sank as he searched the nearby streets, calling his name. After hours of searching, he found the dog limping near the old park. Shivering and weak, Henry wrapped him in his coat and carried him home. For the first time, Buddy crossed a threshold into Henry's world. For months they lived together. Henry had never owned a pet before, but Buddy brought a strange warmth into his lonely life. The dog would sit by the door each evening, looking out as if still waiting, and Henry would sit beside him in silence. Slowly, the emptiness in both their hearts began to heal, one through care, the other through companionship. One spring morning, Henry decided to revisit the house behind the brown gate. He wanted to show Buddy that the place still existed, that he had not been forgotten. But as they approached, Buddy's pace slowed. He stopped by the gate, looked at it for a long time, and lay down peacefully. Henry sat beside him, gently stroking his fur. The air was still, the sun filtering softly through the trees. Then Buddy closed his eyes, breathing softly one last time. The quiet that followed was heavy and sacred. Henry wept, not because Buddy was gone, but because he realized that the dog had finally found peace. He wasn't waiting anymore. The letter's message had reached him. Even if through fate's long detour that evening, Henry buried Buddy under the old tree near the gate. marking the spot with a small wooden board that read, "For the one who waited," and taught us how to love. Weeks passed, and life returned to its rhythm, but the story of the mailman and the waiting dog spread through the town like a gentle whisper. People who had once ignored stray animals now stopped to feed them. A local shelter received more volunteers. Children would visit the brown gate, leaving flowers and notes that said, "Thank you, buddy." Humanity, once dimmed by routine and indifference, flickered alive again, all because of a dog who refused to give up on love and a man who chose to stop and care. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep these true lessons of kindness alive and reminds the world that love never goes unseen. Before we end, please comment below, "I believe in kindness." If this story reminded you that even small acts can heal broken hearts, the brown gate still stands. Today its paint is peeling, but the flowers around it bloom bright each spring, and every morning, Henry still walks past it with a smile. Not because someone waits there anymore, but because he knows that the spirit of the one who waited never truly left. It lives on in every act of kindness, in every gentle gesture, in every moment when one soul chooses to care for another. And maybe that's what humanity really means. Not grand gestures, but quiet love that endures even when no one is watching.